Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette, coming to you live from Cape May County, New Jersey, via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit, Talk, Radio, and Television. I am very happy to have with me this afternoon the one and only Tomaso Rotondi, who is the Cape May County Republican State Committeeman and Executive Board member of Hand to Hand Mission to Haiti. And I want to thank everybody who's already piling into the Facey Chat and watching me live on Facebook. You guys may be wondering where Cape May County is. And I mention Cape May County, of course, every single day because that's where I broadcast from. That's where I live in lovely, beautiful Cape May County. It is in the peninsula of New Jersey. And it actually is a beautiful, wonderful place to live. And Tom Rotondi is the Cape May County Republican State Committeeman. But he is also, like I mentioned earlier, on the executive board of Hand to Hand Mission to Haiti, which you all will learn quite a bit about. It's an organization that's very, very special to him, and one that I'm quite fond of, actually, as well as an educator. And I thought my audience should learn more about. He's going to talk to us about the importance of philanthropy, something that I think is very important. And also, I just think it's really important to dispel the myth that Republicans are just these evil people who don't care about people who are in need. So anyway, hi Andy, hi Jim, Jay, Jerry, hello James, welcome. So I'm excited about having Tom on the show. He's a personal friend and all around great guy, quite frankly. So excited about that. I want to thank my sponsors, Tax Mama, and from taxmama.com, aka Eva Rosenberg. Thank her for sponsoring Money Talk with Melanie. If you have not been to her website, taxmama.com, please go. She answers your tax questions for free. Her ad run just ended, but she has re-upped and we're working on a new ad for her. So I'm very excited about the new ad that we're working on for her, and that should be out in another week or so. So look out for that. Also, I just confirmed with SiriusXM, just talked to the producer this afternoon, as a matter of fact, I will be back on next Wednesday. Maybe Wednesday will be my new day. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I just confirmed for next Wednesday, SiriusXM Patriot 125, 9 p.m. to midnight. I'll be back on having some fun, answering some calls, and talking about whatever's going on in the news. And maybe talking to another Jeff or Jerry. Occasionally, one brave liberal will call in, one brave, misguided liberal. Last week's liberal was Jeff. called and said that I seemed to be a reasonable conservative, and then proceeded to become completely unhinged. Now, the producer messaged me and said, hey, you can have some fun with Jeff. And I proceeded to do exactly that. So it was a good time. Anyway. So come on over to Sirius next Wednesday night and have a listen. If you'd like to know ahead of time who's going to be on the show, at Money Talk Mel on Twitter, and at Money Talk with Melanie on Facebook. Or Google me. I'm all over the place. Disaster relief. People are still recovering from all of the natural disasters. And there's another one coming. I believe it's a Cat 3. I forget what the name is, unfortunately. But there's another one on the way. If you want to donate to a reliable, non-denominational Christian organization where all the money will go directly to people who need it, not to, massive administrative costs, please do consider 8 Days of Hope, 8 spelled out, the number 8 spelled out, 8daysofhope.com is where you might want to donate. Check them out. I always want to mention them because they're just really a great organization that has been very well vetted. So check them out. In Money Talk News report, I don't know if you guys heard yet another hacking. Yahoo, 3 billion users. Now, they were just bought by Verizon, and apparently Verizon peeped this out. Now, Yahoo already told all their people, they already reset all the passwords and stuff, so apparently there's nothing to worry about, quote unquote, which, okay, whatever, Yahoo, but I don't know. I feel like anymore, just assume your information's not safe at this point. I mean, that's just how I feel. Like, and I hate to be like a Debbie Downer on that one, but I you know, I would just assume like none of your, like any of that stuff that you use to register for your email, I would pretty much just assume it's not safe. Like that everybody's gonna know. I don't know. That's just that's my vibe on it. According to software company Workfront, anybody who has a job and has a work email is not going to be surprised by this report. We're getting too many emails at work. I know, stunning, shocking. I clutched my pearls when I heard this. We're getting 199 unread or unopened emails. Like we're literally not opening work emails. I don't get work emails anymore because I don't have like one of those like 9 to 5s. But now I never really didn't open emails because I'm one of those really paranoid people that thinks, you know, when I didn't have a 9 to 5, that one email would be from like the CEO, and I don't know, I didn't get fired, so I opened everything. But apparently, we're not opening them. According to Amazon, them acquiring Whole Foods and cutting the prices, you know, Whole Foods, I don't know. Well, see, we live in Cape May County. Tom's on hold, so I'm just going to throw this out to Tom. Tom, have you ever been to a Whole Foods? Because we live in Cape May County. Have you ever been to one?
Yeah, so I travel a lot.
Right, okay, so you've been to one.
So, yeah, in sales, I mean, I've gone in just to grab a salad on the go, and they're pretty good.
They're fabulous, right?
I never actually shopped in there, though.
Okay, so I used to live in Philly, and I worked down the street from one. I'm just saying, I kind of miss working down the street from a Whole Foods. Yeah, they're pricey, but yeah, they were awesome. Okay, just saying. But also awesome. But they were like ridiculously expensive. I mean, their nickname was Whole Paycheck. Just saying. So, but Amazon bought them out, and apparently it's paying off for them. So they're making money is the bottom line, according to reports. You know, part of Whole Foods was pretty much found in very swanky areas. I mean, where I worked, when I said I worked in Philly, I worked in a place called the Main Line. I worked in a private school where the tuition was $30,000 a year. So yeah, they had a Whole Foods. just saying. So which was, you know, and Whole Foods was down the street from the school where the tuition was $30,000 a year. So, you know, and that was like 10 years ago. So, you know, pricing wasn't an issue. If pricing was an issue, you could go across the street to, I think there was a Super Fresh or something like that. You know, you could go there. Those people could go there where pricing was an issue. But Amazon bought them out, and now they're doing much better. And now I kind of wish that I worked and lived near a Whole Foods. Just saying. And I heart Amazon, in case I haven't mentioned it, which I feel like I have. For those of you, for the two liberals that are listening to my show and or podcast that are wishing that they lived in a communist country, if you WhatsApp has been blocked by China because China has a thing with, what's that thing called? Freedom. So according to the New York Times, the Communist Party has blocked WhatsApp because China they're communists, and they do that. They don't like you having, you know, freedom. So, you know, when there's like apps and stuff that they don't like, they just say, no, you can't have that. And that's kind of what they do. But I mention that because it's just kind of a reminder of the great country that we live in, where basically we can have anything we want within reason, you know, confines of the Constitution and all that good stuff. But come on, we don't have the government like arbitrarily blocking apps without us going into court and saying, yo, can't do that. Just, you know, just saying. So that's why I mentioned that. Anyway, that's the Money Talk News Report. When we come back, I'm going to introduce you to the wonderful, fabulous Tomaso Rotondi, and we're going to talk about philanthropy and hand-to-hand mission to Haiti. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. We'll be back in a few moments.
The plots, plans, and tricks to overthrow America. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards on today's page from the Edwards Notebook. In American society today, to say stuff has hit the fan is an enormous understatement. When I observe everything ranging from Trump-hating, American flag disrespecting, oppressed multimillionaire athletes kneeling, sitting, or remaining in their locker room during the national anthem, or an NFL commissioner who didn't even allow Dallas Cowboy football players to wear patches to honor police officers slain while protecting America and police haters, yet supports anti-flag protests. When I witness the ongoing college campus protests against freedom of expression, unless those speaking hate America and want to overthrow our republic and replace capitalism with communism. When you read about the growing support for bigoted anti-Christian activity, while allowing the teaching of Islam in government schools, or the effort to flood our media and public discourse with never-ending complaints about racism, oppression, and Americanism, it is an orchestrated movement by Antifa groups to accomplish a complete doing away with our constitutionally limited form of government. Wake up, America. The enemy is here. I'm Ron Edwards.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fix errors in the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Start deducting today. Visit TaxMama.com. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with one M.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Okay, we are back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. And I want to give a couple of shout outs in the Facey chat that I missed. A couple of new people have joined in. Eric Navarre, Ron Edwards, who you just heard a moment ago. And I want to make sure that I mention, come on, I put it in here. I put it in here somewhere earlier today. Ron Edwards' show is going to air at the bottom of every break. Ron, let me know what date that starts. It's going to air at the bottom of every break at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, 1:30 p.m. That's when my spot's going to start. Okay, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Because I'm going to have a feature called the Money Talk Minute that's going to air at 4:30. Okay, at 4:30 or 1:30. Okay, I totally misunderstood that. During the Ron Edwards experience, that's a whole nother topic. Chuck Davis, Levon, Ricky, hello, Derek, Antoine, hi. Okay, I'm going to introduce now Tomaso Rotondi, otherwise known as Tom Rotondi. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to tell a brief story about how me and Tom met at a cocktail party. at a Cape GOP cocktail party. Here's how Tom endears himself to new people in a Cape GOP, Cape standing for Cape May, Grand Old Party, is he walks up to people and says, "Hey, would you like to join the Young Republicans?" Even though you've clearly way aged out. So I'm kidding, but no, but that's how we met. He actually asked if me and my husband at the time wanted to join the YRs, the Young Republicans, because he was the I think you were the committee chairperson at the time of the YRs, the state person.
Yeah, so I was the Cape May County Young Republican leader and part of the state party. Yes,
indeed. He is the husband and father of one and one on the way, one adorable son, and one on the way. It grew up in a family pizza shop. It's an awesome story, by the way, which I've heard. Served in the U.S. Army, and as a corrections officer, he has been in the sales profession for 10 years. He's been with Marsh and McLennan Agency for the last 4 years. Served as the leader of the Young Republicans leader for 6 years, and has served 5 years as the Cape May County State Committeeman, which, by the way, I kept forgetting every time I met him. And I used to just introduce him to people as like some very important person in the Cape GOP, which is an awesome look when you're very active politically. I don't know. He's a state committee person guy, but he's Tom Rotondi. You should get to know him because he's like really important. But what we're here to talk about today is his role as executive board member for Hand to Hand Mission to Haiti, which is an organization that does work with disadvantaged youth in Haiti. So, Tom, is there anything that I missed in your bio that you'd like to tell the audience? And I do want you to talk about why it is that someone who is successful as yourself finds it important to do philanthropic work. And tell us about the philanthropic work you do. Do you just cut the check? Like, are you one of those guys? Like somebody asks you for money and you just write the check?
No, I kind of am on both sides of it. This is something that was bred into us from my father. My father's from another country. He's from Italy. He came here when he was 13 years old. He left on a merchant ship when he was about 14, and he came back when he was 17. And then within a few years, he was in Brooklyn making pizza with another gentleman. And they asked him if he wanted to go to Cape May to make pizza. My dad and the other guy said, "Sure, where's Cape May?" I had no clue, absolutely no clue where Cape May was.
Does anyone?
No, just people from Philly,
right?
Apparently,
right, exactly.
So my dad ends up down in Cape May County, and through the years, he tried to acclimate the best he could. He was a soccer guy, loved soccer, knew nothing about baseball, and this is where I really started to pick up my sense of giving back. So my dad was a successful businessman when it came to making pizzas. He had 2 pizza shops. He sponsored our Little League baseball team. And I remember my dad, you're selling candy for, donations to raise money for the team. And a kid, I'll never forget it, I won't say his name, but this kid came in, and my dad rented out the store next to our pizza shop to put all the candy in for all the kids to sell for Little League. And this kid came in and said, "Mr. Rotondi, I have to quit the baseball team." And I was standing next to my dad. I must have been 7 or 8 years old. I wasn't on the team yet, but I was standing there. And my father looked at him and was like, "Why do you have to quit the baseball team?" And the kid said, please don't tell my parents this, but we can't afford to buy gloves or cleats." And without even any hesitation, my dad didn't flinch. My dad didn't think. Just shot out, "Oh, no, come back tomorrow. We'll have all the cleats and gloves here for all the kids." And I looked up at my dad, and I'm like, so my dad, literally, when this little kid leaves, tells his mom comes in and says, no, we don't accept handouts. And he's like, "Ma'am," he's like, "No, I buy the cleats for the entire team and for the gloves and the cleats for the entire team." So I'm looking at my dad I didn't say anything because it's not my place, and that's how we were raised. So this lady leaves with her kid, and my dad literally goes around to the pizza shop, calls Kona Sports in Wildwood at the time, or maybe it was Sports and Stuff. Either way, he calls a sporting goods store and literally buys and reserves cleats in the size that he thinks this kid is in, and then he gets a bunch of other cleats, and he literally gave everybody on the team cleats and gloves just so this little kid didn't have to quit the team and he didn't have to figure out a place. So it was established in me from a very young age. And my dad being from another country, my dad growing up the way he did, he always, always, always gave back. So that's where it comes for me. And it just continues. So I'm not a write a check kind of guy and say, hey, thanks for coming out. I'll write a check. I'll help raise money and get more checks. And then, oh yeah, I want to be boots on the ground, because there's multiple ways of getting paid for this, right? And it's never getting paid in a monetarily situation, but just being down there, changing lives, seeing the change actually happen. The whole thing for me is why I do it.
Exactly. So explain to us exactly what Hands to Haiti is. What does the organization do exactly?
So I'll kind of give it to you from where it started with me and my boss, and then where it's at. So it started with his name's Father Evans. He's down in Wildwood Crest at the what's the school down there? The Catholic school. Wildwood Catholic.
Wildwood Catholic. Right. Okay.
So Father Evans was actually in Atlantic City, and he was at one of the churches up there, and he was telling the story about how his mother was trapped off during the 2010 earthquake in Haiti. So telling the story, he's very charismatic. You ever meet Father Evans, whether you're religious or not, whether you're spiritual or not, you just like the guy. He's very lovable. He's just, for me to say I'm very good friends with the priest, almost best friends with the priest, if you would have said to me that 10 years ago, I'd have laughed in your face. But he's like, you forget that you're with a priest when you're down in Haiti. That's just the kind of person he is. So my boss goes up to Father Evans and says, we want to help. How can we help? So they helped Father Evans move his mother from Haiti to the Dominican Republic. And when everything settled down, they moved back. And my boss, being my boss, who I love to pieces, said, what else can we do? So he says, I have this charity. It's called Hand to Hand Mission to Haiti. And he explains why it's hand to hand, because he literally takes it from the people in America and down to the people of Haiti. Because if you just send it, it sits in the port, it goes stale, it gets rotten, it gets stolen, and it never ends up in the places that it needs to go. So hence, that's the Hand to Hand Mission to Haiti. So I'm sitting in my office one day, and my boss walks in, and he's like, hey, Tom. He's like, want to go to Haiti? And
that sounds like your boss. I know who your boss is, and we don't mention who he is because he's a big deal. But I know who he is, and that sounds about right.
So I leaned back in my chair with a big old smile on my face, being a smart ass, and I said, Charlie, he had a house in Aruba. Nobody wants to go to Haiti.
Right.
I said, most of the people in Haiti don't want to go to Haiti.
Right.
And he started laughing. And that's when he said, no, we're going to go on a mission trip, and you're going to love it. So, like I said, if my boss Charlie called me up and said, hey, we're going to go jump off the bridge, but I promise you it's for a good reason, I would go with my boss. So we get involved. I go down there, and I always tell the story. It was a progression, and it's where now I've grown to love going to Haiti. And so when I first went down there, I literally landed, driving through Port-au-Prince. I cried from the time I saw the first glimpse of Port-au-Prince all the way until we got into the mountains. And then once I was in Haiti, like in the deep parts of Haiti where we go, I cried every day. Every day. And then I cried on the way back. And then on the way out, I'll never forget it like it was yesterday. There was a child, because my son was just born. So there was a kid, and I'm now picturing my son walking down the street, and he may have been with somebody, but it was just me driving by, right? So I got a snapshot of time of, I don't know what's going on, but I see this little kid, and he's in a diaper. And it seems like nobody's there to be taking care of this kid. And I start losing it. I'm like, oh my God. So that's the mission. There's two parts of it. So what we're doing is, we're raising money the whole mission is to provide education, school supplies, food, and clothes to the children and the families in these devastated areas. See, the Red Cross and these bigger organizations, they never get to the places that we're actually going, because you would really have to know the area. You would really have to be with somebody who is hands-on and knows the area. I mean, you're literally turning down a dirt road, over a mountain, down another dirt road, and next thing you know, you're in a village of 300 people.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, I saw a video of you last year when you went on your trip last year, and you were in this room, and you were putting together these lights or something. Can you describe what they were and what you were doing? What the purpose was?
Yeah, so 90% of Haiti doesn't have electricity. And the sections that do have electricity subject to surges and power outages. So the first year we went down there, the mission is always to bring education, supplies, and food. But then we try to bring something a little extra. The first year it was soccer balls. And I know a lot of people think, oh, wow, really nice, you brought soccer balls. But literally handed a child a soccer ball, and he asked the priest to ask me if God sent me. And it wasn't like, oh, thank God. It was, did God send you to give me the soccer ball? Because I've been praying for a soccer ball for the last 3 years, and I know I couldn't afford it. These kids were on the side of the street making dumplings with their mom, which, not politically correct, but in that country, that's not men's work. And that's what I was told. He said, these guys probably get made fun of all the time because they're sitting on the side of the road cooking food with their mother, and men would rather not be seen doing that. And so I'm like, stop the van. We got to give them kids soccer balls. And that's when he said that to me. And I'm just like, it just blew me away.
So you can't tell me that wasn't God answering that child's prayer. I'm sorry. You can't tell me that's not what that was.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get so many chills thinking about the stories down there. I get chills all the time thinking about it.
That's amazing. I just remember that video, and I'm like, I want to go.
Yeah. Listen, you can come with us. So as the time went on, I didn't get to go the next year, but my boss was down there, and they walked up on this strip where all of these kids come out to study, because you can't study in your house. You know, and if you do, it's under candlelight, or it's near a kerosene heater with a light, with a lamp. So they go around to like storefronts, and they go around to, there's a section, I don't want to call it a boardwalk, but that's what it would look like. It's like this paved, nice mosaic concrete, and it's got street lamps, and there's hundreds of kids out there studying. So he was like, man, we got to figure out a way to help these kids stay at home and study, because A, it's a lot safer, and B, they can be with their family while they're studying. So my boss being my boss, it started off, we're going to make this huge purchase of solar lights and put them in each little village. And then as soon as we started, being businessmen and thinking about it pragmatically, and we just got it down to, we found these solar lights. They're like $25 a piece. And us being businessmen, we're like, we're not paying $25 a piece. So we started bulk purchase. We partnered with the company, so we get them for a lot less. So now, when we go down there, we're going to the different schools and the different orphanages, and we give these kids these little handheld solar lights. And I wish I could have sent you a picture so you could post it, or at least held one in your hand. So it's maybe the size of a small like pie plate that compacts down, but then it blows up, and it's plastic, clear plastic vinyl, and it's a solar light, and it lasts, they say it lasts for about 12 years. My son's had ours for 3 years now, and he kicks it and beats it, and it's still going. So it's waterproof. It deflates down. We put little hooks on them so they can hook it to their backpacks, like them little like belt loop hooks, and it's amazing. So now we're giving the kids an opportunity to study. We're giving them an opportunity to be inside the house with their family. And now mom and dad, instead of waking up early in the morning and having to do all this stuff while they got sunlight, they're actually, sewing. They're putting together the little trinkets that they're selling on the street, and it just changes the family dynamic. Now, instead of wondering if they're getting the right answer, they can talk to their mom now, and they're in the house studying. So it's, a lot of people are like, oh, solar lights, who cares? But when you're in America, solar light, who cares? But when you're in Haiti, solar light changes the whole entire universe.
That's amazing. And that's just one of the things that donating to Hand to Hand for Haiti can do. That's just one of the small things. A small thing to to us, but a big thing for those kids. And it just brings to mind, I mean, for me, as an educator, and that's what got my attention, because of course you and I have known each other for years at this point, and you know how important education is to me in general. I don't care where the kid lives, as long as the kids get an education. Education's the foundation of success, no matter where you live, whether it's the United States or Haiti. And the kids here take for granted the fact that they get a free education. The fact that they have that available, and we complain about it. And here all these kids want is to learn. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Tom.
No, I mean that's the case with most things that are free. We take it for granted. But when you think about Haiti, they've kind of been slighted in every step of the way throughout history. When they first broke off from the French, when they gained their freedom, because they fought and gained their freedom. So the problem is when they started to educate it was all. I mean, let me just stop for a second. So when they were slaves to the French, instead of trying to help educate the slaves, and it was actually, it's going to sound horrible, but it was actually better to work them to death than to maintain a healthy human being. And it was just cheaper for them to work them to death and get a new slave, which is terrible to think about. But then once they gained their freedom, the slaves didn't have any kind of education. So then once they started trying to build an education system, they had their own language, because it was French Creole. And it wasn't exactly the French way of learning. It wasn't exactly the English way of learning. And so their education system kind of got tripped up centuries since they were set free, or since they fought for their freedom. And then when America went in there, America actually held them for a little bit as a territory. And they tried to go in, and there were still kind of two systems of education. The Americans wanted to show them an agricultural way of life and build up their education through agricultural growing and something like that. And then the French, or the Haitian Creole people who were still on the island, wanted to build up, but they only built up the elite. So only a small portion of the population got a really good education. So unfortunately, the education system has just constantly been tripped up through people coming in, trying to try a different way, and never stuck to one solid way of doing it. You have the population, 88% of the population ends up in primary school, but then only 20% end up in high school and junior high. So, and the actual graduation rate drops off from there. So the literacy rate actually at Haiti is the worst in the Western Hemisphere at 61%. Men being a little more educated, I think they're at 62, and then women being down 57. That's well below the average of 90%, which is in the rest of the Caribbean and the United States. So that's the main bulk of our mission, is for education, because if you can, like you said, you can educate somebody. It doesn't matter where they're at. If they have an education, they have an opportunity to grow and to prosper.
Exactly. Now, were they affected? I would imagine that the natural disaster that they suffered a couple of years ago also set them back, and had to set them back education-wise as well, I would think.
Well, yeah. So 90% of the education on the island is through private entities. It's not through the government. Yeah. So the government tried, and their government just failed and failed and failed. So the majority of the schools are actually Catholic schools. And then you do have communities that are able to put some stuff together. And so for the majority of it, it's Catholic-run schools, and there's a private community. But the governmental schools, there's 10%. They're not well run. They're not well educated. They don't have educated teachers, and that's the big problem: is teachers and supplies. So that's where the Catholic Church down there has really stepped up, because let's face it, you don't have to pay nuns too much to be there to teach. And most of the schools we go to are, because it's 90%, most of the schools we go to are taught by nuns.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I did not know. So is that the predominant religion there, or that's just their work that they do there?
No, it's predominantly Catholic down there.
Interesting.
And it's like charismatic Catholic. I mean, I went to a couple masses down there. One of the first trips we went down, we were out playing soccer with a bunch of kids, and the kid got kicked and his arm got broke during the soccer game. And so we took him to the UN, this is a sad story, because we got to the UN little hospital, and we're knocking on the door, and no one's coming. We keep knocking, and then we started screaming. We got a guy in Haitian screaming, and nobody's coming to the door. Finally, a little kid came across the street and said, "Oh, they're on vacation."
What?
And we all looked at each other like, what? Yeah, so apparently the UN hospital in that specific area, the doctors were there 2 days a week, and then they went on vacation, that they called it, for the rest of the week. So it took us a while to get someone to come and help this young man. We paid for it. We got him all patched up. We got his mom on the line. We got everyone together. But right across the street, it was like the most beautiful sound I ever heard. So my boss being my boss, and him and another gentleman start wandering around the streets of Haiti where we don't know where we're at. And I'm like trying to corral him, like, please guys, let's not wander too far off. We go in there, and it was 250 people singing. And the mass literally lasted for like 3.5 hours.
You Facebook
and it was
Live
awesome.
that.
It was awesome.
I saw that. You Facebook Live some of it. I remember.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we're up against the break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to promote this and spread the word of the importance of philanthropy, not just hand to Haiti, but philanthropy in general, and just talking about, how people like your boss, Charlie, we'll call him Charlie. People like your boss, people like you and your boss, Charlie, and other private sector people who are involved in this work. And see, the thing about, us private sector people that do things like this, we tend not to brag about it. We just get in there and get it done. Get in there and do it. So I want to talk about how maybe we can talk about this more, and not in a bragging kind of way, but still promote it if that makes any sense, and just pay it forward. Because I'm sure you're teaching that little boy of yours, just like you're teaching him about that team that you love so much. You're indoctrinating that boy. I was cracking up when I saw that post. But talk about how we can promote that to the next generation, so to speak. Just the importance of philanthropy, because when I taught financial literacy, it wasn't in a curriculum, but who cares? I always included a lesson about philanthropy in my financial literacy lesson, because I think it's important. So let's talk about that on the other side of the break. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Klett. We have Tom Rotondi as my guest today. We'll be back in a few minutes.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. Black Kids Radio, And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. Heart, 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 dude. Heart, 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 dude. Heart, 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 dude. Heart, 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 dude. Sock. 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 The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America. In America. And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Okay, we are back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. And our guest today is Tomaso Rotondi, which I rarely ever call him that, but but that's what he put on his bio, so that's what I'm calling him today. No, I'm just kidding. Who is the Cape May County Republican State Committeeman? Maybe I'll remember that now, since I've had to say it like 5 times today. He's the Cape May County Republican State Committeeman and the executive board member for hand-to-hand mission to Haiti, which is what we're talking about today, is the importance of philanthropy and that particular organization as well. And if those of you who are watching on Facey, he is in the chat. I just noticed that he joined the chat. If you'd like to ask Tom any questions, please feel free to post any questions there. And before the break, I asked you about any ideas that you might have about, paying it forward and promoting things like that to things like philanthropy in the next generation. Because I will say, as an educator and as someone who, teaches on the high school and college level, and listen, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm generalizing here, but when I included philanthropy in my curriculum in high school, many of my students were puzzled by, giving away money and the concept of volunteering. So do you have any ideas or comment on that?
Well, I mean, I think it goes to what my dad did with us. Examples are always the best way. It's hard to tell somebody to do something, but when they see you doing it and they see you doing it with a passion, it starts to become a part of their mentality. It starts to become part of your culture in your family setting. I think we all have to be examples for our kids. We all have to be examples for other people's kids, because unfortunately there's kids out there that don't have good examples. So to me, it's always, I talk to my son like he's a grown man. If you ask my son, if you say, Tommy, what does it need to be successful? He'll tell you, you need a positive mental attitude. You need a burning desire, faith, passion, and persistence with a never give up attitude. And my kid's 4 years old.
Oh, I love it. I love that.
Yeah. You'll like this too. He has 3 jars. He has a savings jar, an investing jar, and a spending jar. And he always puts more money in his investing jar, because he knows when he puts money in it, more money comes out.
Nice. That is beautiful.
So,
I love that. I love that. We know who his dad. We know who his dad is. His dad is about getting that dough.
Yeah. So it's leading by example. Not only do I work with the hand-to-hand mission to Haiti, but I also donate time to talk with kids that are not on the right track. Maybe they're having some issues in school. I go over to the high school and I talk with kids over there. And, it's best to lead by example. No one likes to be dictated to. No one likes to be told. But that's the other thing I was going to say is, when you have a passion and you're going out there and you're doing it, my passion is to help kids. I don't care where they're at. I don't care what it is. If I can help a kid get out of a bad situation and get him onto a track that's going to help him to progress and to be the best possible person that they could be, I want to facilitate that at any cost.
Indeed. Because you and I have talked about when you were a corrections officer and some of the characters that you used to meet there and how you used to help them.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it hit me, because like I grew up in an Italian family in Cape May County. So when you leave, you're like, oh my God, there's a whole nother world out there. When I left for the military, that's when I learned it the most. But then when I sat down, I sat with a gentleman. He was doing 7 to 10 years. I forget the length of it, but he told me it was part of his job to do 10 years in prison. And I looked at him and I said, "What are you talking about? Was that on the was that on like the job description when you signed up to be a drug dealer? Like,
I was going
to say,
you're
going to have to do 10 years
for that job, yes." For the job that he was working, drug dealer, probably was on a resume.
When I did sit there and I spoke with him, I said, "Look, let's just think about how much money you made." And he said a number. I said, "Now, how many years have you spent in jail?" I said, "Now divide how much money you made by how many hours you spent in jail." And he ended up with making less than minimum wage. It ended up being like $3 an hour. I said, you could have went and did anything. You could have worked 2 jobs, but you didn't want to do that. You'd rather go out there and make the fast money and the quick buck and spend 10 years in jail. And now you made less than minimum wage. You could have went to work at McDonald's and you would have been way better off. So it changed my perspective of, be thankful that if you were born into a good family, that you were born into a good neighborhood, that going to Haiti made me realize that even being poor in America is a blessing.
Exactly. Exactly. I have a friend who says that all the time. He's like, being poor in America is not poor. Like you're not poor when you're poor in America. You're, being poor in America, being poor in other countries is truly poor. Not like being poor in America, you still have access to clean water. You can go into a bathroom at McDonald's and still have access to clean water. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They always talk about the 1%ers in America. They say, the 1%, the 1%. But if you take America and put it on the global scale, besides our deeply impoverished, because we do have people who are in really dire straits in America, but
right.
For the most part, our so-called poor are in the 1% of wealth earners in the in the world.
Yes.
So Haiti, the average person lives on $2 a day in Haiti. The people 40% of the people live on less than $1.25 a day.
I can't, and that's something I don't think anyone in America could possibly wrap their head around. Like I don't know how.
It's impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me this: what would you say out of all your experiences in Haiti? I don't know if you shared this yet or not. Was your absolute best, most memorable experience so far dealing with this organization in hand-to-hand mission to Haiti?
I always tell the story of the pencil. And this is where there's times in your life where you'll have a shift in your mentality and in your thinking that'll be in a good direction, and it'll keep you going. So we walk into a classroom and I see these 2 little kids sitting next to each other. And it just, again, I flash back to my son and I see these 2 little kids sitting there and they're passing this nub of a pencil back and forth. And I'm looking at them and I said, my boss asked, "Where's your pencil at?" And a little kid looked up and in Haitian Creole, he said, "It was my brother's turn to use the pencil today." And I started crying because I thought to myself, I instantly thought, 7 days earlier, I was in my house. The eraser broke on my pencil. I threw it in the trash can. A whole pencil, a whole 8 inches of pencil, I threw in the trash can. I could have brought and given to this kid. So, but when you give down there and you pull out these solar lights, giving that kid a pencil was literally life altering. He had it was. So that's the one story I always tell. It made me realize that more can be done with less. A lot of people think if they give $10 to our pasta dinner that we're going to have on Monday, what are you going to do with $10? Well, our organization is 100% pass through. No administrative cost. We pay for our own flights, our own hotels, our own food. Every single dollar is a pass-through. And then from there, we negotiate pricing. So if someone gives me $10, I'm going to stretch that $10 into 30. So it's just seeing the looks on these kids' faces, and when the teachers speak to us, because then the teachers will say, because the kids, there's so many of them that scream, but like usually one teacher will step up and say, you know, you really don't realize how much you're altering these kids' lives and how you're giving them the opportunity to be better citizens, to make Haiti better. Because as poor as Haiti might be, the people down there with their spiritual faith and religion, or just faith in their country, they're the happiest people I've ever met in my life. So the whole entire situation going down there is, it's well worth every second that we spend down there.
That pencil story you just like, I'm still, my mouth is still open, and I've hardly breathed since you told me that pencil story. I'm just like, wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. So last 2 minutes of the show, I want you to tell, because I want to make sure I get this on audio. I saw you posted it in the in the chat room on Facey, but I want to make sure I get it recorded as well. How can people donate, and tell us about like the progress that the website is making and stuff like that? How can people donate?
Yeah. So again, we have a website. It's getting, everything is donated. We can't pay. We just don't spend money out of the pocket to pay for things like this. So they're working on the website. The donation button's not connected for some reason, and it's not working. But right now, you can send the check written out to the Hand to Hand Mission to Haiti. The address is in the chat. It's 293 South Shore Road in Marmora, New Jersey, and the tax ID is there. So it's tax deductible. And if you send us $1, if you send us $100, if you send us $5,000, every dollar that you spend with the Hand to Hand Mission to Haiti is going directly to the children of Haiti. And I remember you saying that in the opening about the group that you like to give to, because it's 100% pass through and there's no administration cost.
Exactly.
That's important.
Yep.
Really important.
Absolutely important. Exactly. Which is why I always promote that organization, instead of not to kill the Red Cross, but you know,
right.
They're out of hand at this point. Just saying. So that's excellent. Tom, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I'm so glad you were able to do it. And I'm definitely going to be at the spaghetti dinner on Monday night. I will show up and get my spaghetti.
And meatballs. Spaghetti and meatballs.
well, you know, it wouldn't be, you know, Italian dinner without the meatballs. I know better.
Yep.
So I'll be there. Thank you so much for being on the show and being my good friend. I appreciate it so much.
Hey, thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about our story and talk about our organization. We really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. And tell Charlie I said hello.
I will.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So that was Mr. Tom Rotondi, folks, state committeeman in Cape May, here in Cape May County, New Jersey, for the Republican Party. See, Republicans are not all evil. Some of us are actually quite wonderful. An executive board member for Hand to Hand Mission to Haiti. And that is the conclusion of this most recent episode of Money Talk with Melanie. I'm your business diva, Melanie Collette. I want you all to have a wonderful weekend. I want to thank you all for watching on Facey and listening on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You're welcome, Tom Rotondi. And I want you all to have a fabulous weekend. And remember, all of this is very important, because after all, it is your money.